Hey, what's up? Welcome to this new video. This one is paper 1 of October-November 2003. Now, with that being said, let's move on to question number 1. So here we have to find the coordinates of the points of intersection of the line and the curve. As you can see, here we have intersection. Usually that will lead to a solving simultaneous question, kind of question. So we have to solve simultaneous equations. For example, the main idea here is that we have a line. Let's say this is our line. And then we have a curve. Let's say this is our curve. Now you can see we have 2 points of intersection. So we have to find those 2 points. That's the main idea behind this question. Now, this is my equation number 1. This is my equation number 2. Now we will have 2 equations that we have to use, or we can use, to find the 2 unknowns we have to find in the equations. So, in the first one I can make y become subject, so y can be 11 minus 2x. Now in this one here I have x and y, right? I can replace y by 11 minus 2x. So you'll have x times y, which is now also 11 minus 2x is equal to 12. Now solve step by step. That will be 11x minus 2x squared equal to 12. Let's send everything to one side. You will have 2, this, minus 11x, and then plus 12 equal to 0. Now, as you can see here, we have a quadratic equation. We can factorize, or we can use the formula to solve this equation. So I will go with factorization. Okay, because we have x squared, we have to have 2 brackets. Now, what is 2x squared? It is 2x times x. Now, what is 12? We know 12 can be 1 times 12, 3 times 4, or 2 times 6. Now, we have to choose a pair when we can fit in those positions, so we get minus 11. So let's see which one will fit. Now, again, this is done by trial. I don't know which one is going to be okay. I can try one by one, but now again, I don't want to waste your time. I know exactly which one I will choose. I will choose this one. Right. I will put 4 here and 3 here. Now, for me to get minus 11, I have to have minus 8 and minus 3, because minus 8 minus 3 is minus 11. Now, to check, minus times minus is plus, so here we have plus, so this is a good factorization. Now, solve. That will be 0. This also will be equating to 0. So x have to be 3 over 2, and x have to be the value of 4. Now, for this value of x, let's find the corresponding value of y. So y will be 11 minus 2x, that will be 3 over 2. Simplify. 11 minus 3 will be 8. And for this one, y will be 11 minus 2x, x is 4 right here. That will be 11 minus 8, that will be 3. As you can see, we have the coordinates of the 2 points. So the first point will be 3 over 2, and then y, it was 8, or it can be 4 and then 3. So these are the 2 points we need to find for this question. Now let's move on to the next question. So here we have to show that this equation may be written as this equation, where x can be this. So let's see what can we do. At first we have 4 sine power 4 theta plus 5 is equal to 7 cos square theta. Now we have to kind of understand, in this equation here, we have x is sine square theta. Now we don't have any cos theta in this equation, so we have to eliminate this in a way. Now, how can we do this? We realize that cos square theta is also equal to 1 minus sine square theta. So we have to know this, okay? Now replace, you will have what? 4 sine power 4 theta plus 5 equal to 7, and then here will be 1 minus sine square theta. Now let's try to expand and simplify. You will have what? 4 sine power 4 theta plus 5 is equal to 7 minus 7 sine square theta. Now, let's send everything to one side. Over here, you will have 4 sine power 4 theta, and then you will have plus 7 sine square theta. 5 minus 7 will be minus 2 equal to 0. Now let me try to kind of rewrite this in a way so we can see clearly what's going to happen. Here I have 4. Now I can rewrite this as what? As sine power 2 theta and then power 2, because we understand that by the laws of indices, this is the same thing as sine power 4 theta. If that makes sense, right? Now next one will be the same, obviously, plus 7 sine square theta minus 2 is 0. Now going back to the question, we can see here x is equal to this, so we know this have to be 4x square plus 7x minus 2 is equal to 0. And this will be shown as required. That is part 1 of the question. Okay, pretty easy, not too bad. Now for part 2, hence we have to solve the equation. Hence, it means we have to use part 1 to solve this equation. Okay, pretty easy. Now for part 2, we know that this is equal to this, so let's continue with this. So right now we have 4x squared plus 7x minus 2 is equal to 0. Now what is this equation? As you can see clearly, this one is a quadratic equation. Now we can solve by factorization, or you can use your formula to solve this question. It is up to you. Now I will try to factorize, obviously. Now what is 4x squared? It is 4x times x. And what is 2? 2 is 2 times 1. To get plus 7, I have to have plus 8 minus 1. Now here we have minus, so minus times plus, it will be minus, so this is good. So this is good factorization. Again, if you don't know how to factorize, you can always use your formula to solve this. Now this will be 4x minus 1 is 0, so 4x will be 1, and x will be 1 over 4. X plus 2 is 0, x will be minus 2. Okay, great. So now we have this. Again, now we're not looking for the value of x, we're trying to find the value of theta, right? Theta. Replace back. We know that sine square theta is x, so sine square theta will be 1 over 4. And here, sine square theta will be minus 2. However, here is not possible if you think, so sine theta will be what? Will be square root of minus 2. So this is not possible, it will be invalid. So we have to go on with only one side of the equation. So this will give you what? So we realize that sine theta will be plus minus root of 1 over 4, which is plus minus 1/2. So for one part will be sine theta will be positive half, or sine theta will be negative half. Now for the first one here, as we know by using ASTC, if sine is positive, it will be in the first quadrant and also in the second quadrant. So this will be simply the angle directly when it is positive, and this will be 180 minus theta. So theta here will be what? Sine inverse of half. That will be what? Let's check using our calculator. Here we have to use degrees, and sine inverse of 0.5 will be 30. That is the first angle, but also we have to find this one. 180 minus 30, that should be 150. Now for this one right here, sine theta is negative. If it is negative, we'll realize that it has to be in the third quadrant and in the fourth quadrant. This will be 360 minus the angle of, let's find the fake angle called y, and this will be 180 plus y. The reason why I'm finding this y thing, it is not real, it is not your answer, is because it is just a method that we can use to solve eventually to find theta. So here theta is this, theta will be this, and because it is negative, we have to go through this way to find those values easily. And it is my own technique, not my own, but it is one of the techniques that I prefer to use to find the values of the angle when we have negative value here. First proceed with a proxy angle. I can name this y, whatever you want to name this, And then we realize what quadrant they are, and then we can solve this. So first, let's find the value of y. Y will be sine inverse when it is a positive value. So again, it will not be negative. Y will be when it is positive. That will be 30 degrees. Now, y is not your answer. We are trying to find theta. Theta will be what? According to the quadrants, it will be 180 plus 30. That will be 210. And theta will be 360 minus 30. That will be 330. So as you can see, we will have a few answers here. Theta will be 30 degrees, will be 150, 210, and finally 330. So we have 4 values for theta for this question involving trigonometry. I think the only tricky part here is maybe this, by the laws of indices, and here we have to factorize, and then maybe this. For some people, they might find this confusing. However, this method is pretty consistent. Whenever you have something negative here, we have to know in which quadrant they fall into, and then we have to proceed with finding, this is not your answer, but the angle to help you find the answer eventually. This will be when the value is positive, and then use the quadrants to find your value that you need for your answer. And that will be a question involving trigonometry. So here we have a debt of $3,726 is repaid by weekly payments, weekly payments, which are in arithmetic progression. Now in this case, you know what kind of progression this is already, which is a very good thing when you're trying to solve this kind of question. Now, the first payment is 60, good. The debt is fully repaid after 48 weeks. Find the third payment. So pretty easy. So part A, we know the debt, the total amount is equal to 3,726, right? And also we know that it is an AP, right, given to you by the question. And the first term, we call this A. First term is given by 60. And the debt is fully repaid after 48 weeks. So we repaid the whole thing after 48 weeks, which means the sum of the 48 payments have to give you 3,726, if that makes sense, right? So we kind of have to derive this from the given information. Now, since we know this is an AP, I would always recommend writing down all the formulas you know for this progression. So we know this is AP. So the n term is given to you by A plus n minus 1 times d. And the sum of the first n term will be half n 2a plus n minus 1 times d. Again, these are given to you on your sheet. You don't need to memorize. However, if you can, definitely do so. It will be to your advantage, so you don't waste much time. Now, here you can see we have the value of A. We are missing the value of D. So how can we find the value of D? Do we need that? Yes, we will need that eventually, because the question is asking you to find the third term, right? We have to find this eventually. So let's use this for now, the given information, to find the value of D from this. So this means when n is equal to 48, the sum is equal to 3,726. Replace back in this formula. Let's see what do you have. So you will have 3,726 is equal to half, n is 48, 2 times a, so a we know it is 60 given by the question, plus n is 48 minus 1 is 47 times d. So there's only one unknown. We have to find the value of d using this equation. So let's see how can we simplify this. So first thing, we can cancel out 2, that will be 24 here. And we have 2 times 60, that will be 120. So here we have 3,726. And we can, that equal to what? The value of 24, that will be 120 plus 47d. Now we can also simplify this. So let's try 3,726 divided by 24, that will be 155.25. That will be 120 plus 47d. Now minus, obviously, so 47d equal to this minus 120, that will give you 35.25. So D will be what? This divided by 47 will give you 0.75. Okay, this will be D, will be 0.75. So now we have the value of D, we can use that to go find the value of the third term. So third term according to the question should be what? To the equation will be A. A is 60 plus N is 3. Third term minus 1 is 2 times D will be 0.75. So that will be 60 plus 2 times 0.75. That should be 61.5. So this is the third payment, which will be $61.50. That will be part A of the question. Now for part 2, we have to find the sum to infinity of the geometric progression. So now we know the kind of progression we are dealing with, which is very good. Now we can know exactly which formulas we'll be using for that. Now we have to find the sum to infinity of this progression whose first term is 6 and whose second term is 4. Second term is, we have to know T of n for a JO is A R n minus 1. Now again, this is given to you on your list. Now T of 2, that will be, when n is 2, that will be A times R, n minus 1 is, so 2 minus 1 is 1. A is 6R, so that will be this. 6R will be the value of 4. So let's write this down. For part B, we're given the value of A is 6, and then 6 times R is 4, which means R will be 2 over 3. And we have to find the sum to infinity. Now again, this is a formula we are given. We have to know as well, given to you on the list. That will be A over 1 minus R. A is 6, 1 minus R will be 2 over 3. So 6 divided by 1 minus 2 over 3, that should be 18. So this will be the sum to infinity that we will be finding for a geometric progression for part B of this question. As you can see, it is not too bad. These questions are pretty easy as well. We just have to understand what is given to you and the kind of progression we have, and following that we proceed step by step, finding the unknowns and then finding the required question or finding the required answer that we need to find for the question. Anyways, that will be a question involving series. Now let's move on to the next question. A curve is such that dy by dx is given to you by this. The curve passes through the point 1, 5. Okay, this is the passing point. This is my x value and my y value. Now we have to find the equation of a curve, so we have to find the y for that curve. This is what it means. The equation of a curve is basically y. Now, we have to understand, to find y, we have to integrate dy by dx, because integration is a reverse process of differentiation. So that's what we have to do. So y will be integration of dy by dx will be this, plus 1 by dx. Now this will give you what? 3 is 3. Now x squared, the power we have to increase by 1, that will be 3, and divide by the same power. Then minus 4x, that will be increased by 1, divide by the same power, and then plus x, and plus c for the constant of integration. So y will be, this will go away, x power 3 minus 2x squared plus x plus c. Now, we have to use this point to find the value of c, because it is unknown in this equation and we cannot leave our equation of curve with some unknown value. This is y, is x and y replaced back in the equation. So 5 is equal to 1 minus 2 plus 1 plus c. So this will cancel out. So 1 plus 1 is 2, minus 2 is 0. So c will be the value of 5. So we conclude that the value of y, which is your equation, is going to be x power 3 minus 2x squared plus x. This is part 1 of the question. Now for part 2, we have to find the set of values of x for which the gradient is positive. Now we understand the gradient is simply dy by dx, so we are trying to find the values of x for which dy by dx will be more than 0. So let's replace and find out. Now we know the value of this is given to you by 3x squared minus 4x plus 1 is more than 0. Now for this kind of equation, we have seen this many times in AddMath. We have to first find the critical values. So let's equate that equation to the value of 0. Then we have to factorize. You will have this. This will become 3x times x, and 1 is simply 1 times 1. Now we need minus 4, so we have to have minus 3 and then minus 1. So again, this is how we multiply the brackets. This will multiply with this, and this will multiply with this. So 3x times minus 1 is minus 3, and then minus 1, that will be minus 4. So confirm, that will be the factorization of this. So x will be 1 over 3, and x will be the value of 1. Now this is the critical values that we have to use to find the range of values of x that we can use. Now because here we have a positive value, it will be a minimum curve. Right. Now this is the critical values over here. That will be 1 over 3, and that will be 1, obviously, right? Now we need the values of x. It is more than 0. Have to be up more and more. As you can see, above this is 0 here. Above 0 will be these two sides. So x have to be less than 1 over 3, and x have to be more than 1. So these will be the answer for the set of values of x for which the gradient is more than 0. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So the diagram shows a trapezium ABCD in which BC is parallel to AD. So these two are in the same direction. Now, angle BCD is 90 degrees. BCD is right here. Okay, good. The coordinates of A, B, and D are given to you as follows. So everything that we have here, we can use to solve the following questions. Part 1, we have to find the equation of BC and CD. So first thing first, where's BC? BC is this one. Pretty easy. So we have to first find the equation of a line, we must first find the gradient of a line. That makes sense, right? So what is the gradient of BC? Okay, so we realize that BC is in the same direction as AD, which means the gradient of BC have to be the gradient of AD. So we can just find the gradient of AD first. That will be what? So y2 minus y1, so 5 minus 0, over x2 minus x1. That will be 5 over 10, that will be half. Which means the gradient of BC would also have to be half because they are in the same direction. Now we can use the gradient and the passing point, which is 4, 6, to find the equation of BC. This will be my x value and my y value. So y minus this corresponding value over x minus its corresponding value have to be 1 over 2, which is the gradient. Now we simply cross multiply. You will have 2y minus 12 is equal to x minus 4. Continue. 2y have to be x. Send this over here. So minus 4 plus 12 will be plus 8. But you can always double check. Why not? That will be plus 8. So this will be the equation of BC. Now let's move on to the next one, is find the equation of CD. So how would you find this one? Because it is at right angle to each other, as you can see, the gradient of BC multiplied by the gradient of CD have to give you minus 1. Which means if this is half and we have to multiply by gradient of MC have to be minus 1, it means that the gradient of CD have to be minus 2. So from this we can move on to find the equation of that line CD. We have a passing point which is 12, 5, that will be x and the y value. So y minus the corresponding value over x minus its corresponding value have to be minus 2. Minus 2 is minus 2 over 1, so cross multiply, you will have what? Y minus 5, and that will be minus 2x plus the value of 24 on the other side. Now, y will be minus 2x plus 24 plus 5, and that will be minus 2x plus 29. So this will be my equation for the line of CD. Part 1 done. Now part 2, we have to find the coordinates of the point C. Now we understand that the point C is what? It is the point of intersection between the lines BC and CD. Now because it is the intersection of those two lines, we have to use simultaneous equation. So here we have equation number 1, and equation number 2 we can solve very easily. You can use substitution or you can use elimination, it is up to you. So here we have y, replace 2y, y is also minus 2x, plus 29 is equal to x plus 8. That will be minus 4x plus 58 is equal to x plus 8. If you send this over here, it becomes minus 5x, and that will be minus 50, right? So 8 minus 58 will be minus 50. Now x will be the value of 10. Replace back in the equation, so y will be minus 2 times 10 plus 29. That will be minus 20 plus 29. That will be 9 as your answer. Okay, so let's write out the point. The point C will be the x value is 10 and the y value is 9. That will be my passing point. The coordinates of C. And that will be a question involving coordinates geometry. The diagram shows a sector OPQ of a circle with center O and radius R. So this is also R right here. The angle POQ is theta radians, and the perimeter of the sector is 20. So this is the given information we can use to solve the following questions. Now part 1, we have to show theta is equal to this. Obviously we have to use this information. The perimeter is equal to 20. Now how would you find the value of P? By observation, it will be the distance around the object. That will be this side, that will be R, plus this side will be R, and plus this side PQ. PQ is the arc length, we have to know. Arc length have to be R times theta. So R times theta have to be 20. So R theta have to be 20 minus 2R, and theta have to be 20 minus 2R divided by R. So finally, theta will be simply 20 over R minus the value of 2. That will be part 1 of the question. Now for part 2 of the question, hence express the area of the sector in terms of R. So how would you find area? You know that area is equal to half R square theta. Now again, you have to know these formulas for when it comes down to these kind of question, which is in circular measure. You have to know these formulas to work them out. Now part 2, area is equal to half R square is R square. Now theta, we know it is also equal to 20 over R minus 2. Okay, simplify. We can first leave the half outside. Let's bring the R inside first. So R square times this will be 20R minus 2R square. Divided by 2 will be 10R minus R square. So this will be area in terms of only A. Okay, this will be your answer for question part 2. Let's move on to part 3. In the case where R equal to 8, we have to find the length of the chord PQ. So now we have the value of R is equal to the value of 8. We have to find the length of the chord PQ. First, we have to understand what is the chord PQ. The chord PQ is simply P joined to Q by this straight line. So we have to find this length. So how can we find this? So pretty easy. Let's find out something. We have to use the value of R. So we realize that if R is equal to this, theta is equal to what? 20 minus 2R will be 8 divided by R, 8. So 20 minus 16 divided by 8, that will be 0.5. So this will be 0.5 as the angle right here, when of course R is equal to 8. But now if you observe, if I take out the shape, I will have what? I have this triangle, right? I have this triangle right here. This is 8, and this is 0.5 radians. We have to find this side. As you can see, we know the two sides are around the angle. We want to find the side opposite the angle. We have to use what? We can use the cosine rule to solve this. So cosine of the angle is equal to 8 square plus 8 square minus the square of the opposite side over 2 times 8 times 8. And this is just a formula you guys have to know to solve these kind of questions with triangles. Now we can just cross multiply. You will have what? 2 times 8 times 8, so 2 times 8 times 8 will be 128, so 128 cos of 0.5, that will be what? 64 plus 64 will be also 128 minus x squared. So x squared, subject, that will be 128 minus 128 cos of 0.5, that should be in terms of radians. That will be 15.669, so x have to be root of that. That will be 3.958, so to 3SF, 3.96. That will be the length of the chord PQ for this one. That will be 3.96 centimeters. Okay, and that will be a question involving circular measure. Let's move on to the next question. So here we have the diagram shows a triangular prism with a horizontal rectangular base ADFC. Okay, so ADFC. Now, where CF is 12, CF is 12. Now, because it is a rectangle, we understand that this is the same as this, also as this. So 12, 12, and 12. Great. Now, DF is equal to 6 units. So this is DF, which means this also will be 6. Okay. Now the vertical ends A, B, C, and D, F are isosceles triangles. So this and this are the same, this and this are the same. 5 and 5. The midpoints of B and the F of M and N respectively. So this is M and respectively. The point O is the midpoint of AC, so exactly between AC. Great. Now using those information, let's first find the length of OB. So pretty easy. The length of OB, we have to use the diagram. So if this whole thing here is 6, we know that this have to be exactly half, that will be 3. Now by observation, we have a triangle B, A, O. O, A, and B. And this is at right angle. This is given to you by 5, this is given to you by 3. So we have to find the length of OB. So pretty simple, we can use the Pythagoras theorem. That will be OB squared plus 3 squared have to be 5 squared. So OB squared will have to be 5 squared minus 3 squared, that should be 16. And OB have to be the value of 4. Let's verify. 5 squared minus 3 squared will be 16. Right, so this will be 4. The length will be 4 units. Now for part 2, we have to express each of the vectors MC and MN in terms of I, J, and K. So usually how we proceed is we have to look at the given shape O diagram to help us find this answer. So first we have MC. So from M, let's go to C. So let's see how can we do that. So M is right here. Have to go to C. So M, we can first move to B. So first let's go to B, and then from B we can go to O, right, and then from O we can go to C. So one by one, how would you find MB? Now we realize that CF is given by 12, which means BE, this whole thing here, would also to be 12. M is a midpoint, so this have to be 6. Now again, we know the direction of J is in this direction, from C to F. For example, if you move in this direction, that have to be J. So this whole thing here from B to E will be in this direction, that will be J. However, from M to B will be in the opposite direction, so this have to be 6 minus 6J. That makes sense, right? And then BO, pretty easy. We know the length of OB is given to you by, it was found to be 4. We know this direction from O to B is K, going up, but going down will have to be negative, so minus 4K. And then OC, pretty easy. We know that this is 3, this have to be 3, and this is in the same direction as I, this have to be 3I. So have to be 3I minus 6J and minus 4K. That will be MC. The next one, we have to find the value of vector MN. From M going to the endpoint. So again, step by step, MN How can we do that? By observation, we can first go from M to E, and then from E, let's go to N. So, because this is the midpoint, this is also 6, and in this direction it will be positive, that will be 6j, and then plus E going down to M, that should be minus 4k, because again, as we have seen here, going up will be positive, going down will be minus. The length here is 4 same, that will be this. So that will be 6j minus 4k. This will be the two vectors we need to find for part 2 of the question. Now for part 3, we have to evaluate this dot product. So pretty easy. MC was found to be what? 3 minus 6 and minus 4. Dot of Mn, that is 0, 6 and minus 4. That will give you 3 times 0 is 0. Minus 6 times 6 will be minus 36. And this will give you plus 16. That will give you minus 20 for your value for this dot product. Now, using this, hence, we have to find the angle CMN. So pretty easy. We know that the angle that we need to find can be found by using this formula, which is the dot product of the two vectors is equal to the magnitude, see here, and then cos of the angle in between, C. So we have to find the angle right here. So one by one, this we have found, it was minus 20. And here for the magnitude is pretty easy. MC is this one, so that will be 3 squared is 9, plus 6 squared is 36, plus 4 squared is 16. That should be 61, so root of 61. Mn should be 36 plus 16, that should be 52. Again, this is just a formula we use to find the length of vectors. Now cos of CMN is going to be minus 20 divided by root of 61, root of 52. So finally, let's see what do we have. Minus 20 divided by root of 61, root of 52. That will be minus 0.355. So the angle CMN will be just cos inverse that value. That will be 110.8. However, as you can see, the question is asking you, give your answer correct to the nearest degree. It will have to be 111. Okay, and that will be your question in regards to vectors. Let's move on to the next question. So a solid rectangular block has a base which measures 2x by x centimeters. Now again, the one thing we have to do in this kind of question is have an idea of how it looks like, because going off these kind of questions can be confusing over time or as you move on. The best thing to do is let's draw something so we know exactly what we have to deal with. So what is a solid rectangular block? So let's see, that will be something like this. So we should have a shape, something like this, a block. So this drawn with this, and this. So that will be an illustration of how it may look like, right? Now the side measures 2x, so this will be 2x by x. Okay, great. Now the height of the block is y, so the height is y, great. And the volume is given to you by 72 centimeters cube. Great. Now part 1, we have to express y in terms of x and show that the total surface area A is given by this. So one by one. First express y in terms of x. Now we have to use this given information that we have here to find y in terms of x. So volume, how would you find volume of this shape? It is going to be length times width times height. That will be x times 2x will be 2x squared, and times y, that should give you 72. And then y will be 72 divided by 2x squared. Simplify, 72 divided by 2, that should be 36. You will have 36 over x squared. This is part 1, y in terms of x. Now part 2, we have to find the total surface area. So TSA, total surface area. So let's see how can we find those areas. So let's let's look at the object. So we have the base area, which is what? 2x times x will be 2x squared. But now the base and the top will be the same, so we have to times 2. Now plus, we have this area, which is length times width, which will be 2xy. And again, this area will be the same as the back one, so we have to times 2. And then we have this area right here will be x times height will be xy. And then times 2 again because we have this side and this side. So in total we have 6 faces, which will add up to form the TSA of this shape. Now simplify, you will have 4x squared plus 4xy and plus 2xy, which is 4x squared plus 6xy. Now again, we have something in x here, so in y here we have to change to x. Y is 36 over x squared. So this will cancel out with this. So you will have 4x squared plus 36 times 6 will be 216 over the value of x. So TSA will be this value. This is again shown as required exactly, and this is shown, right? Now let's move on to the question, part 2. Given that x can vary, we have to find the value of x for which a has a stationary value. So now we have to know this is that whenever you see this mentioned, we are going to be finding d by dx and equating that to 0. So here in this case, we have to find dA by dx. At the stationary value, we know that dA by dx is equal to 0. So let's first find this. That will be, using this obviously, you will have what? So let's rewrite this as 4x squared plus 216. Let's bring this up. That will be x power minus 1. So dA by dx of this will become 8x minus 216 x power minus 2. That is also equal to 8x minus 216 over x squared. Then equate that to 0. Because this is what happens at the stationary point. Let me write this down. At the stationary point, d by dx is equal to 0. So equate to 0. Now let's solve. Let me send this over here. You will have 8x is equal to 216 over x squared. Now we can just cross multiply. You will have 8x cubed is equal to 216. X cubed is equal to 216 divided by 8. That will be 27. So that will be x have to be the value of 3. So let's find out cube root of 27. Sorry, that will be this one. That will be 3. So here we have the value of x that we need here. The value of x, it is 27. So 3. Sorry, that we need to find. That is part 2 of the question. Now find the value. Find this stationary value and determine the nature of this value. So pretty easy. The value is a. It is when x is equal to 3. Replace back in the equation, you will have 4 times 9 plus 216 divided by 3. So 4 times 9 plus 216 divided by 3. That will be 108 centimeters square for this stationary value. Now again, we want to find the nature of this value, so we have to find d2y, so d2a, sorry, by dx2. So we have to use this one, right? You will have 8 here plus 216. So we have to times 2, and that will be x power 3. That will be what? So 8 plus 216 times 2, that will be 432 over x power 3. So when the value of x is 3, you can see this will be a positive value. This is all we care about here. We care about the sign of this value. Now you can write, since d2a by dx2, it is positive, we realize that a, the stationary value of a, is equal to a minimum value. Okay, and that will be a question we have regarding differentiation and finding stationary values. Let's move on to the next question. So the diagram shows the points A and B, as we can see here, A and B. On the curve y equal to 8 over 3x plus 2, the tangent to the curve at B, right here, crosses the x-axis at the point C. Okay, great. Now the point D has the values or coordinates 2, 0. This is the point D. Okay, let's see what do we have. Now part 1, we have to find the equation of the tangent to the curve at B. Okay, and hence using that, show that the area of the triangle BDC is this. BDC is this. So pretty easy. Let's first find one by one. So first thing first, we have to find the equation of the tangent at B. So now again, tangent is a straight line. So to find the equation of a straight line, you must first find the gradient of the straight line, which is the gradient of the tangent. Now we understand that the gradient of the tangent is the same thing as dy by dx. Now why is this? We can also rewrite this as 8 3x plus 2 power minus 1. So dy by dx will be what? By dx will be, let's find out from this, 8 is only a multiple, so multiply by the power minus 1, and then we have to decrease the power by minus 1, that will be minus 2, then multiply by d by dx of the value inside, that will be 3. That will be minus 24 over the value of 3x plus 2 power 2. So I hope that was somewhat clear. So again, 8 is only a multiple, we'll leave 8 outside. Right. Then we multiply by the power, so multiply by minus 1. Great. And then we have to decrease the power by 1, so minus 1 will be minus 2. Okay. Then we have to multiply finally by d by dx of the value inside. So d by dx of 3x plus 2 is 3, so we multiply by 3, and that's it. That will be this value. Now, we have to find dy by dx at the point B. At the point B, we have the value of x equal to 2. That will be minus 24 over 3 times 2 is 6 plus 2 is 8. Square will be 64. Right, let's check. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 2 is 8. Square 64, so minus 24 divided by 64 should be minus 3 over 8. So we conclude that at the point B, the gradient of tangent have to be the value of minus 3 over 8. Now since we have the gradient of the tangent, we have to find the equation of the tangent. So we have the gradient as required by the question, and then we have the passing point is 2, 1. This is my x and my y value, so y minus 1 over x minus 2 have to be minus 3 over 8. So cross multiply, you will have 8y minus 8 is equal to minus 3x plus 6. Now 8y is equal to minus 3x plus 14, and that will be my equation for the tangent. Again, you can always make y become subject, it is up to you, you can do that. That will be 8 here, and then that will be 7 over 4 as the other one. Okay, that will be also the same thing. Now using this, we have to show the area of BDC. So BDC, we have to find this point and then find the area. So what is the point C? The point C is on the x-axis. We realize that on the x-axis, the value of y have to be 0. So replace 8 times 0 is 0, and that will be minus 3x plus this. So x will have to be 14 over 3. So the point C have to be 14 over 3 and 0. So let's find the area of the triangle BDC. Now BDC is this one, BDC. Now this is a vertical line, as the point 2 and 2 matches. We know this is a vertical line, so this have to be 90. Now how can you find the area of a triangle or right angle triangle? It is simply half times base and times the perpendicular height. So half is half, base is this one, have to be this point minus this point, so this value will be what? 14 over 3 minus 2, that will be 2 over 3 times height is only 1, so times half, that will give me, so half times 2 over 3 times 1, that will be 1 over 3, which is simply 1 times 3 is 3 plus 1 is 4 over 3. This is shown as required. Again, let me explain. For this value here, I've realized that the point C is what? It is the x value of C will be 14 over 3. Now the x value of d will be 2. Now the base will be the distance in between those two, so we have to take this minus this to find this base distance. Now height is pretty easy. It is 0 to 1, that is only 1. So area of triangle will be half times base of height, so half times base and times height will give you this value shown as required by the question. Now for part 2, we have to show the volume of the solid formed when the shaded area or region ODBA, so ODBA is rotated completely about the x-axis is this. So how would you find volume? Volume about the rotation about the x-axis. Now again, it is always kind of best to use or to know a formula that will help you with that, right? So we know it should be this pi y square with respect to dx. That will be this pi is pi, and y is the equation of the curve. What is y square? Y square is simply y square will be 64 over the value of 3x plus 2 square by dx. Now we can rearrange, obviously. We can take out this value, that will be 64 pi, and then we can bring this up, that will be 3x plus 2 minus 2 dx. Now we can simply integrate this. Again, the limits is what? Let's have a look. The limits will be between the value of 2 and 0 for this region, right? 2 and 0. Okay, great. Let's see what else do we need here. So here we have the curve. Okay, good. Now 64 will be outside, and this will be 3x plus 2. First we have to increase the power by 1, that will be minus 1. So minus 2 plus 1 will be minus 1. Divide by the same power, then divide by d by dx of the value inside, that will be 3. Then we have 2, 0. That will be 64 pi, and we have minus 1 over 3. We can bring this down, that will become 3x plus 2. And then the values will be, limits will be 2 and 0. So 1 by 1. 64 will be outside, pi. And then here we have minus 1 over. So 6 times 2 is 6 plus 2 is 8 plus times 3 will be minus 24. So 24, sorry. And then minus. That will be minus 1 over. That will be 0, so that will be 6. So minus 1 over 24 minus 1 over 6 times 64. That will be 8 pi as required. So again, let's try. So minus 1 over 24 minus 1 over 6 will be this value, and times 64, that will be 8. So 8 pi will be the volume required for your answer. 8 pi units cube for the volume of this area that we are trying to rotate along the x-axis. Again, the main thing we have to know here is the formula, how to find this. So we have to know when it is about the x-axis, we write pi y square. But when it is about the y-axis, we just write pi x square with respect to y. Okay, so this is the only difference between those two directions. So next question, we have functions f and g are defined by those two. So first thing, f of x is equal to 2x minus 5, where x can be any value. Again, you can see here 2x minus 5 is a straight line, right? Pretty easy. Now g of x is 4 over 2 minus x, where x cannot be the value of 2. So obviously if x is 2, you have 2 minus 2 is 0, and we cannot divide by 0. That would not be possible. So let's move on to question part 1. Find the value of x for which we have this. So let's first find this. What is f of g of x? It is simply 2 times g of x minus 5 is equal to 7. So 2 times g of x is what? That will be 2 times this, that will be 8 over 2 minus x. That will be, send this over here, that will be 12. Then we can kind of simplify, divide by 4 on both sides, that will have to be 2. That will be 3. Divide by 4 on both sides, you will have this, and then we can cross multiply, you will have 2 here. And that will be 3 times 2 is 6, minus 3 times x. So 3x will be the value of, we can send this over here, that will be 4, so x will be 4 over 3. That will be part 1 of the question, just solving the equation one by one, step by step, right? Now for part 2, we have to express f inverse, and this in terms of x. So let's see what can we do. Part 2, sorry. So f inverse of x, so we have to first let y equal to f of x, which is this, then make x become the subject. So we have 2x equal to y plus 5, so x will be y plus 5 divided by 2. So here we conclude f inverse, it is in terms of x, so we have to write x plus 5 divided by 2. Now here we have g inverse of x, so let y is equal to g of x, which is 4 over 2 minus x. Then we cross multiply, you will have what? 2y minus xy is equal to 4. Now xy is equal to 2y minus 4. So x will be what? 2y minus 4 over y. So finally, g inverse of x is simply 2x minus 4 over x. So these are the two things we are trying to find in terms of x. Now for part 3, we have to show this has no real roots. So let's have a look. Let's try to equate those two equations. So we have g inverse here, x plus 5 over 2, and here we have g inverse 2x minus 4 over x. So simplify, let's try to cross multiply, you will have what? You will have x squared plus 5x is equal to 4x minus 8. Right. Then we have to send everything to one side, you will have x squared. Then we have, so plus 5 minus 4, that should be plus 1, x, and plus 8 have to be 0. Now we have to show they have no real roots. So to show real roots, we have to look at the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. Right, so let's see. So here we have 1, 1. So a is 1, b is 1, and c is 8. So b squared minus 4ac. So b squared is 1 minus 4 times 1 and times 8. That will be 1 minus 32, and that should be minus 31. So you can write, since b squared, the discriminant, minus 4ac is less than 0, it shows it has no real roots. Again, they must be, they are looking for these integration for the marks. You have to show that you have tried this, and then because of that, you don't have any real roots. Now let's move on to part 4 of the question. On a single diagram, we have to sketch the graph of this, and making clear the relationship between the two graphs. Now, I think these kind of questions come up pretty often, and it's pretty easy as well. The main thing, we understand that the relationship between a graph and its inverse is always going to be a reflection in the line y equal to x. So that's the relationship that they need to have. For example, let me just kind of sketch this one. It doesn't need to be exact. Have an idea. So the first point I can have for this will be, let's say x is, so I have y equal to f of x is 2x minus 5. The value of x, let's say 0, y will be minus 5. Let's say x is 1, y will be minus 3. So first point is 0 will be minus 5 is here. Let's say, for example, here. And then we have 1 minus 3, let's say will be somewhere over here. Then we join those two by a straight line. It will be a straight line going in this direction. That will be simply y equal to f of x. Now we have to show that they are kind of connected by a reflection along this line. You have to label this as y equal to x. Now obviously the other line is pretty easy. We just have to kind of reflect this over the other side. For example, we can just kind of try your best to do the measurements. For example, that will be something like this. So we have to show it is a reflection and label this as well as y equal to f inverse of x. Again, this is one mark is to draw this one mark is to draw this one, and finally we have to show this one as the third mark. So this will be a question in relation to functions, and it usually comes all the time in your test or exam, so please do understand the concept behind doing these questions. And with that being said, thank you for watching. I will see you next time.